Hello, everybody. This is Joy LaChere, and our guest today is Cami Voss MacDonald. So I'm sure she has an interesting story. She is a singer-songwriter as well as a musician. And hi, Cami, and I hope you have a good time today. I do want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Luscious Moss Studio, owned and operated by Chad Christ in Edgewood, Washington. He is on Facebook. You can look up your Luscious Moss Studio or Chad Quist. I believe you'll find him there. And he does have a very creative, collaborative environment set up for drummers and guitarists, but he also does other things. He's produced some of my music in his studio. So do give him a call and look him up if you have any needs. All right. Cami, you're on.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure. I happened to find your name because I just did an interview with Kelly Van Camp. And
I noticed that.
Yeah, I happen to be looking through videos because Dave Harmonson has done some steelwork and dobro work on some of my songs. And I saw this video in YouTube, and it had you and Kelly and Dave Harmonson singing.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly, what band name was on there.
Well, just recently I did a show with the two of them and some other wonderful musicians as well at the Tractor for
sure, that's a
Graham Parsons birthday tribute. So it might have been that video that you saw.
Yeah, we do have something in common. You and I both like country. Apparently, that's kind of where you go when you.
That's my happy place. Yes.
Yeah, mine too. Okay, so when did you start, and what instruments did you start with, or instrument?
Well, I started with piano, and I was about 10 years old when my mom thought maybe it would be something I would enjoy, and so talked to my dad about it, and they got a real cheap little piano, and we lived way out in the country, so there wasn't really a piano teacher out there in that area, so they would drive me to places further away to get lessons.
Not to interrupt, Cami, but what area was that? I don't know where you're from.
So I was born in Mount Vernon, and then my dad was in an electrical apprenticeship when I was little, and my next sister. And so we spent a couple of years traveling around in a trailer that we pulled behind the car to wherever the jobs were that he could work. But then when
how'd you get a piano in there?
Well, so no piano yet at that time. But by the time that we did settle down, it was in Acme, Washington, which is in rural Whatcom County, sort of north and east of Mount Vernon, south and east of Bellingham, kind of towards Mount Baker.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So no piano teachers out there. So there was one that would come to a church in the area, and so we could drive over there and get some lessons. And then when that sort of fizzled out, they drove me into Mount Vernon to get some piano lessons. So
all right. Before we go on, I forgot to tell you that I probably will interrupt you from time to time, but I believe if you look up in the way up upper right-hand corner, it says comments. Do you see that on your screen? Probably not.
I'll have to put my glasses
You're on the phone, so it might not show it.
No. Oh, I do see it. Yeah.
Bob Kettrick said hi. So hi there. Glad you came. Anyway. So you were about 10 years old. You started taking piano lessons. How did they teach you? Did they teach you in the classics, or teach you little songs so you could play, or with different techniques in it, or how did that go?
Well, my first piano teacher, used the John Thompson books, and she didn't. I didn't learn for several years anything about. Well, I learned a little something about reading music, but I didn't. It was years into it before I realized that those dots on the page meant something specific. I mean, I was just looking at them as like you go up or you go down, and you just have to sort of listen and see if you can figure out how far up or down. So even though it wasn't intentional that I was playing by ear, that is sort of how I was doing it, or by watching her play. And I was just fascinated with any musicians I could see or hear, and just would try to emulate what I could hear. So, but when I did later go to Mount Vernon for piano lessons from Fran Wold, who happened to be our next door neighbor before we went on the adventure in the trailer. So when we came back, she was my piano teacher, and she got me up to speed on reading music. And so I did learn some classical, just kind of eclectic, whatever. She really let me play whatever I wanted to play. But
did you ever do any boogie woogie?
A little bit, and definitely that has worked its way into my playing for sure.
Oh man, I still can't do that.
there was a time when I was really into trying to play more ragtime kind of stuff and boogie woogie, just stuff that's, lively and entertaining, and piano is kind of a great instrument for that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. So I interrupted you, so no, I didn't. I mean, I stopped the flow of this, but
I was going to say that I also did play music with my dad. He played acoustic guitar, and he had a 12-string and liked to sing, and so we would, jam together, and played music in church and stuff like that. He was the worship leader at the church that we went to in those parts at that time.
Yeah.
I don't really do church music anymore, but it was a fun way to grow up. And there were other adult musicians in the church that let me play along with them. And we would have jam sessions at someone's house many Saturday nights throughout the year. And that's how I learned a lot of the country stuff, which I still love.
Yes. Well, I had a band for 15 years, so we did everything. We did every kind of tune out there. But for the most part, it was a lot of country, and I did country in it. And we'd have people not be able to show up because of other commitments. You may book something, and then somebody has something come up, they've got to go. So we had a lot of people come through our band, and most of them were country. So I learned a lot of old-time country.
Yeah.
And I never really cared for it. The things that came across the radio, like Patsy Cline and that sort of thing, they moved over to pop. So, of course, they came on the radio station. We were able to learn them. But I liked the 80s and 90s. That's when in the 80s is when I got into country, to the more newer sounds and whatever, but always based on the older stuff. So it's good to know both, I think. You have to have roots too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I love the 80s country too. I grew up with that, and, I was playing the more, 40s, 50s, even 60s country.
Right.
But I heard the 70s stuff, I heard the 80s stuff, and the band I'm in now, that's really kind of what we specialize in, especially sort of cheesy 70s and 80s country. It's super fun though.
I have a lot of fun because I'm always jamming with rockers. They do not know country.
Yeah.
And they're, they stumble along, but it helped writing and putting down, the music to what I was writing, because they had different takes on how a song should go. And it's kind of like sort of rock and roll and sort of country. So it helped me develop some music that was very different from most of what's out there in the South. In Nashville. But anyway, so you were 10 years old, you had taken lessons, you were doing church music, which I think we've all had at one point. And where'd you go from there?
Well, let's see. I mean, I was kind of always in a band from probably 14 or 15 till now. I still am. But, like you said, musicians come and go. And so there's been lots of lots of different styles. And I decided that I wanted to go to college and major in music. I just never really thought of doing anything else. And so, of course, it'd be music. And I did realize that my, competition in classical is it's different. It's a lot different, a whole different world and country.
Yes.
And I was only a moderate reader. Like I said, I did a lot of just listening and copying people. And so I didn't necessarily take the reading all that seriously. So I had to kind of jump it into high gear when I was probably 17. Yeah. I went to a small, tiny little school that was associated with our church. And I ended up getting out of high school a year early, which I didn't know was going to happen. My parents had me skip 7th grade and they didn't tell me that was happening at the time. So I just did the work. And, but they did tell me when I thought I was going to be a senior, they're like, you can just be done. So I went to Skagit Valley College and I worked hard on my sight reading, and I just took every musical opportunity that was available at Skagit, every band that there was, even the musicals in the theater department, voice classes, piano lessons. I picked up saxophone and flute and just did everything. And then went to Western, where my intention was to get a degree in classical piano performance. And so I just practiced so hard. I practiced 4 hours every weekday and 6 hours on Saturdays, and I took Sundays off. So it was intense. It was a lot. And it's because, well, I did get my degree in classical performance. So I must have done all right, but it was kind of lonely, in a practice room all by yourself on piano for all those hours and still needing to get all of the rest of the work done,
Right.
And I just felt like the pressure, the competition was too intense for me. So solo classical performance still freaks me out a little bit. Like, I play for myself. I love classical and for my family, and I'm a piano teacher. I have been a piano teacher.
Well, hey, guys out there, did you hear that? She teaches.
Yes. I own a music school in West Seattle called Westside Music Academy. That's been here since 1999. Wow. But I've been teaching piano since my teens because, like I said, there wasn't a piano teacher in my area. So since I was the one that got the lessons, people would send their kids to me to.
In the teaching that you're doing, there's a big difference between playing classical music and playing popular music, and playing keyboard with the band. So do you teach both, or do you?
I teach whatever anybody wants to learn.
Yeah.
I have quite a few adult students, and so when you're an adult paying for lessons, you get to learn whatever you want to learn. With the kids, I discuss it with the families ahead of time to make sure that the whole family is on board with the direction that we're going. And I do incorporate music theory and reading in all the lessons, in addition to playing by ear or even just learning chords to accompany yourself singing. Those things are add-ons that we can do at any time. But I
very
do
interesting.
Make sure people get the basics.
I simply cannot. I don't know what to do on the keyboard. I
can help.
It's a technique, I believe. Would you agree that playing the keyboard with a band is a technique? You have to. Yeah.
It's a different thing.
I don't have that technique. So I do want to say, yes, yeah. I do want to say hi to Michael McMath. Hi, Mike. And this is Cami, and I hope you're enjoying our interview today.
Hello.
So he always likes to pop his head in and see what's going on. So, wow, that's interesting. When I took guitar lessons from a lady in West Fargo, North Dakota, and had an old piano, old upright piano. And then uh, I, I I had an Achilles heel. I didn't like the tick tick of that metronome.
Oh, yeah, they're brutal.
Oh my gosh! And so I've had a timing problem,
Uh,
and as a result, I've kind of backed away from it a little bit. And you couldn't take a piano to a campfire, right? So I
right.
switched over. But I still plunk on it. I can still do easy piano music and so forth. Albeit it's not something I do at a gig. I would love to learn that. So glad to know
Yeah.
there are people out there that do, because I was wondering, well, now what would I do if I ever wanted to do it with the band and play with the band? I wouldn't have the first clue. I would, no clue. So it's
I
good
can
to know
help.
that. Yes, I hear you. And anybody out there listening, how do we get a hold of you for that? Can you
My business website is westsidemusicacademy.com.
can you put that on Matured Musicians for us with phone number?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. So now you're 10 years old, and we kind of skipped ahead a little bit to your piano lessons in your studio. But what happened between 10th grade and you said you kind of been playing in bands all along, so they weren't new to you. But um, what what was the first time that you actually played out in public and were paid and was paid for your music? For your
Oh, that's
band?
a good question. Well, my first band was called the Deacon Dan Band, and it was a guitar player named Dan, and my dad on bass, and my friend Natalie singing harmony, and I played keyboards and sang. And occasionally we would have a fellow play banjo with us named Ben Hickey, and we had gigs. I'm trying to remember the first one. The one that stands out, I don't know if it was the first one, but it was early on, was a pancake dinner in Sumas or Blaine or
Like
something
fun. I love pancake dinners.
at like a Grange Hall. Yeah. So I don't know if it was a fundraiser or something. It must have been. I don't recall getting paid, but I had so much fun. My dad bought a little PA system and stuff so that we could, get out and play. And maybe we played at some of the other neighborhood churches and stuff. There was a recording studio in Bellingham, and we made 3 tapes.
So between that time and college, how many years had gone by before you actually decided, hey, I'm going to take this serious and go to college and learn all of the things I don't know but want to learn?
Yeah, well, like I said, I got out of high school a year early. So I was 17 when I went to Skagit for a couple years. And by that time, so after Deacon Dan Band, so that was probably when I was 14, 15, 16, something like that. And then some fellas in the neighborhood and I played some rock music together, Christian rock music.
Yeah.
I don't adhere to the Christian faith anymore, but at the time I was into Christian rock, and we wrote our own music, and we played like just some small outdoor
Anyways, yeah.
festival kind of things. And then we all moved to Kirkland, and we went to Northwest College. It's Northwest University now, but they kind of, as a perk to get us enrolled in that school, said they would provide a van and a PA system and gigs for us.
Yeah.
So we did that. We jumped on it, and I think we played like 60 gigs in a year. So that was pretty busy
Wow.
yeah. And it was pretty hard, like Christian metal, maybe. I played a lot of keyboard pads and stuff.
Yeah.
So, we had a great time. It was wonderful. But it wasn't necessarily going to be my,
Yeah.
passion
Yeah.
of music style, and people, go different ways. And
Right.
so I played in a couple rock bands after that, just sort of trying to find the right
Your groove.
people. And
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So I don't know. There were gigs, there were musicians, quite a few, for several years. And then after I did graduate with my classical performance degree, I did my senior recital. It was great. I mean, but intense for me.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
decided I just didn't really want to play classical. Like I didn't think I was going to get any world touring job at it or anything.
Yeah.
Um, so I thought I would learn jazz to see if that was any different. So I spent about 10 years studying jazz with just different teachers
Very
around
different.
town, and got into a regular jam session with about 10 people. And then we broke that into just 2 different groups. So if there were gigs out there to be had, from that pool of
Right.
10 of us, we could put together a trio or quartet or quintet or whatever. So that was great. And everybody was kind of, like me, just, musicians, but not terribly experienced in jazz. So we all learned a lot together.
Yeah. That
And
sounds like
still
fun.
keep in touch
That's a
with
good
most
way to
of
go.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
do
in
have
fact, one
some.
of the people that I played with from that group is one of the guitar teachers at Westside Music
All
School.
right.
So we're
That's
still in
cool.
touch. He's still playing jazz. I'm not as much.
Yeah. I jazz just and I know that's not my thing. But I do have some comments here. We have a Donald Melodora. I don't know where he is now. He used to be around here. And
Hi, Casey. I see you there.
Hi, Casey Freedom's there. I didn't know you knew him. Is that Casey Freedom? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And
Just from the Little Red Hen,
Yeah. So he's been getting around. I saw Casey a few times. I saw him come out to where I was jamming, and I kind of followed him from there. So, yeah. So, hi, guys. Hi, Donald. Hi, Casey. All right.
Hello.
So, where were we? We were jazz. We were doing jamming with a jazz group. At that point, did you realize that that's not the direction you wanted to go, or what happened next?
Well, no. After several years of that, I had babies, and
You
then
had what?
that meant kids. I gave
yeah,
birth.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And so that put at slowed the
on
music
it. Yeah.
scene down quite a lot for a few years. Yeah.
So when did you go
So
back?
my kids are
Go ahead with that. You're going to give ages.
Oh, my kids are 14 and 16 now, and thriving musicians themselves. It's so wonderful.
Wow.
And so I guess I did play some, but not very much. I was just busy for a lot of years, but I did keep teaching throughout the whole time, even with babies. And I would say in about 2010, I started playing again with my sister, Kate Voss, and our friend, Carly Nelson. And we started a band called Mannequin Barbecue, and we still play. We have to wait for my sister to be in town, but I would say we probably get a couple gigs in once a year. And it's great fun. And we've got a nice following too. It's
all right. There you go, girl. So at that time, were you doing the country then? Is that the country time?
I wasn't so much. No, I didn't know that there was country music to be had in Seattle. And, the people my age that I played music with back in my teen years, I did listen to country music, and I did play the country music with my dad, and I loved listening to the Hank Williams records that he had, and some 8-track tapes of Don Williams and Ernest Tubb, and they kind of made fun of me for it. So I was a little bit of a closet country. I mean, not totally closet, but I mean, I loved it, but I couldn't get any of my friends to play it with me. So I was at that time only just playing with all the old people, you know, my parents' age and older.
Yeah.
And then so I just kind of kept it in. Like I didn't play country music at all after, I mean, once I went to Skagit and on, and I see Don says Skagit has a lot of good musicians up there. It's true. There's still a great scene up there in the Skagit Valley. But I had a gig with Mannequin Barbecue, and it was the strangest bill. I have no idea how it happened this way. It was at Daryl's Tavern, and it was Mannequin Barbecue, which is like quirky, weird pop with lots of harmony. It's piano, bass, and drums, and my sister plays melodica too now, but we would all switch instruments several times throughout the show. We called it a mannequin fire drill, and we'd run around and I'm going to play bass now, and you play keyboards, and you play drums. And anyway, so it was us and the Suffering Fuckheads, and who are so great. I don't know if you know them, but it's a Hammond B3 and drums, and they do like jazz standards, but they get pretty far out with them. It's pretty jammy, groovy, based on jazz, very creative. And Caleb and Walter was the other band. And if you don't know Caleb and Walter, that band is fabulous too. Caleb Bew is one of my favorite local country singers, but they are country. And it blew my mind. I was like, what? Is country music in Seattle? I
have not found it yet.
So that was like delightful, and it changed everything for me. It changed my way of thinking, like, oh, maybe I can.
Yes,
maybe I can.
Absolutely.
And so, I have been since then. I, just a little bit tiptoed in around that point, and now I'm all in, and it makes my heart so happy.
Yes. Going from there, what was the next step that you were taking, or was that the same band that you were in, or were you in other bands as well, or different kinds of music with different bands, or just in that particular one, or how did that work with you?
At that time, I was just in Mannequin Barbecue. And then I'm trying to think how I did start playing country music exactly. Well, I started going to the open mic at the Little Red Hen.
Yes.
That was maybe
on Sundays.
Was it on years Sundays? Ago? Yeah, it was on Sundays. Yeah. It's still on Sundays.
Yeah,
but then it was from 4 to 7 in the afternoon.
Are you the lady who plays the keyboard at? Oh my gosh, Cami,
that's me.
And I never put the two together.
Yeah, I think that's where I met you, was at the Little Red Hen. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh, am I dense?
Yes, I've met lots of wonderful musicians there, and I do feel like it's been maybe 8 years, it could be 9 years, I don't know, that I've been doing it, and for many years, very regularly, every single Sunday, and then there was the COVID thing, and now I go as often as I can, which is not every Sunday, but at least half, maybe more than half.
Big problem there for me is I love the place and I love playing there, and I love you when you're playing with me and singing, but that parking is insane.
What is?
Parking.
Oh, the parking.
Parking.
Yeah. There is that lot in the back, but it's not.
Yeah, that's usually full. We have to go a distance by the time we get there. We're coming in from Redmond, so. Okay, so oh my gosh, I just can't believe it's you, and I didn't recognize you, Cami. I'm getting old, Alzheimer's.
We all are.
So does Dave Harmonson come out there a lot? Does he play it?
He has been, yeah. It didn't necessarily used to be that way, but he has been lately, and it's super fun to jam with him and Billy and Annan.
Yeah. Is that where you met Kelly, or how did you meet Kelly?
Yeah, I did meet Kelly through that. Yeah, when we worked there. Yeah.
Do you know Jerry?
Pardon me?
You know Jerry Batista as well?
Yeah. I know him peripherally.
They play out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Um,
fantastic. So yeah, and then through meeting people there, Alex Barron used to play piano there quite a bit, and bass, and so he and I would get together and jam. And then my friend Shelly, who sings harmony with me and is one of the teachers at Westside Music Academy,
yes.
thought, well, could we start a band? And asked Dan Taylor if he'd like to play guitar, and he said yes, and he's so fabulous. Um, and Kelly was drumming with us for a few of the years, and he still does from time to time. He's understandably a very busy musician. He's so
He
crazy
is.
talented.
Yes.
So yeah, and we just started getting gigs as the Loose Heels, and we're still gigging. Our next one is January 27th at the Shanty.
Where's the shanty in Seattle Summer?
Shanty Tavern on Lake City Way.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
They're
don't know
only
where
open
it
on
is.
Friday nights.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll look
So,
it up. I'll look it up. Okay. Well, you did mention COVID. It was kind of a hard time for musicians because they got shut down, and
yes.
I don't even know if they had the jams at the Little Red Hen during that period of time.
No.
So maybe you could fill me in on what you were doing at that time for those 2 years.
Gosh, it was sad and lonely, you know. I mean, I'm very lucky to have my family, my husband and my kids here,
Right,
so I had,
right,
interaction that way. And my husband is a musician as well, so
Oh, what does he do?
he plays in a band called Baby Crow Flight School.
No,
And
I've never heard of it.
it's funk rock, all original, and they're pretty fun. But he also does a lot of digital composing. He's creates layers and layers of sounds, and so we did do one song together from the Beck song reader. I don't know if you know about that. It's something that Beck put out. I think it's 20 pieces of music, all in sheet music that he never recorded, and just he made this a very pretty artwork on all of it in a nice little hardcover folder book. And he just put it out, published it that way, just to see what people would do with it, what it would sound like with other people recording it. So we did one of those.
How did that go?
It was good. We still haven't done another one, and we mean to. But you know how it is.
Yeah.
Family life is just, things, dinner and stuff like that.
So did you write at all did you write any?
I really didn't write during that time, but I did, starting in, maybe it started in May of 2020. I was just like, I just need to play. I just need to keep playing. I can't not play. I wish I could play with people, but so I started just posting on Facebook a song a day every day. So I did 100 days of a song a day.
Oh gosh!
And most of those, I didn't post all of them, but I have a YouTube channel that most of those are on. So it's just me solo, either outside or in my house or in my garden or whatever.
And how do you get to your YouTube channel? Can you put that on Matured Musicians?
Yes, I will do that. Yeah, so that was kind of, I played a lot. I bought a guitar. It was before COVID, but during COVID, I practiced quite a bit. I still wouldn't go calling myself a guitar player, but I can get by, strumming, and I pick a few little.
That's me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So yeah, I spent some time on that, and something amazingly wonderful happened. I was still teaching, mostly online during COVID, but I saw a few students in person.
Yeah.
And one is a fellow that I had met. I do happy hour entertainment for senior living. I have the daytime gigs, probably one a week or so. Anyway, but I was working at Aegis of West Seattle, and during COVID, because I wasn't really playing music much, I actually just got a job and worked there for 2.5 years. And it was a great experience. But I worked with the activities, and so I did a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
music with the residents there. And so this person is super into country music, like the same kind of country music that I like. So he kind of became a friend and fan and
Right.
signed up for piano lessons. And he came to me one day and said, I have something to ask you. It'll take about 15 minutes. Can you spare 15 minutes of time? And um, it's a long emotional story for me, but anyway, I'll shorten it.
Okay.
Basically, bottom line, he said, I want to buy you a Steinway. I was like, no, no,
Piano.
I'm talking no. And he's like, now hear me out. Um, he said that he felt like I had changed his life in such a joyful way with, bringing the music into the senior living where his partner was living at the time. She's since passed. And just the camaraderie with country music and taking him on as a student and the friendship. And he said, I can do this. And I just want to have a chance to change your life in a similar way to how you've changed mine. And so talked with my husband about it. And so he bought me a Steinway. I have a Steinway O in my home, and it's just the most beautiful piano. He knew that I would want one because I had mentioned I was going away a few years ago for my 50th birthday, and I was just going to have a little getaway all by myself so I could write and listen to music. And so when I was scampering for Airbnbs, you can't filter by piano, but if you look through pictures enough, I found one in Tacoma that had a Steinway in the house. And so that's what I wanted. I said, it's it's the only way I'll get to play on an instrument of that caliber. And it's not that expensive to go have an Airbnb in Tacoma. So I'm just going to book this place when I can so that I can have that piano. So that's how he knew that
The
the
Oh,
thing.
that's amazing. That's an amazing story.
So I spent a lot of time playing that piano during COVID as well.
Yeah. Did you ever play? You played for the residents then, is that correct? That you were,
yeah, quite a lot.
I played with a volunteer band from about 2019 until this year when I just couldn't take it anymore. But having to haul on my equipment and carrying up steps and getting too old for that stuff. But anyway, we go into these homes and the Life Center in Kirkland. Excuse me.
Yep.
We had played there. Yeah. And so, we had been asked to leave because they said they had the flu there. And this was in December. So I'm not sure what kind of flu it was, but we know how that turned out by March. But we played, that was just one of many, many places that we played. And the people, I swear, it doesn't matter what you give them. They absolutely love it. It's like you bring back memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they may not remember all the words to the song, but they remember where they were when that song was playing. And it doesn't matter what condition they're in. And even those that have some Alzheimer's or, I say other issues with age, but it was such a joy to play for them.
Yeah. Yeah. I still do it. Yeah. I love it. I love it. And now having worked in memory care, have more direct experience with that. It's all the more meaningful. And some of them do. Some of them aren't even really verbal conversationally, but can sing the songs. They know
That's right. They know that song music. I swear, I just think it's a miracle going in there. I always thought when I heard that people were going into homes and playing that, and I was like, what? Until I did it.
Yeah.
Well, I know. We do have comments here. Do you want to look at some of our comments, Cami, and make some comments on it?
That's great that a fan gifted me a sign. Yes, it is. It is. And music is one of the last things to go. A special gift to share with those folks. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's mutual too. I mean, it just makes you feel good to have that connection of music with anyone, when you
Absolutely.
see eyes light up, people smile. It's the best.
Right. Well, I definitely enjoyed all that time, and of course, I was just getting back into music. I quit on in 2015. In fact, it was Halloween. It was a Halloween gig, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And I had to recover. I had to recover, so that was when I stopped, and I didn't go back till 2019, and that's where I went back to. So I didn't realize how much you lose by not playing for 7 years, but I couldn't even pick up a guitar because I had quit. It broke my heart, and my band, I had to let them go, and I didn't want to have anything to do with music. So when I got back in and I got into this band, I was so green I couldn't believe I lost all that stuff. But it kind of came back gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just got to keep doing it.
Yeah, you do. It's like anything, even a language. I mean, I took Spanish and German in college and high school and college, and then I went to Germany and to speak it. And boy, if you don't do that every day, just like practicing,
Yeah.
cobwebs in it to say.
Dwindled.
So this is the part that we're on right now, where I ask you, what you have coming up, where we can find your songs, anything new that you might be able to present us with. And then I'm going to ask you some questions like, before we start, what would you say was your aha moment, or have you had a lot of aha moments, or that made you feel like, wow, this is unbelievable, and I'm glad I chose music and worked on it to the extent that I did.
Well, I think there have been several of those.
Yeah.
As far as, well, when I was a kid and just kind of realizing that this is for me, there were a couple. So one was just listening to my parents' records. They had the big long record case and looking through and playing some of the stuff that they didn't listen to, that they had forgotten. Like there was so much country music in our house. That's really all we listened to. And that was fine with me. But then I found the Beatles 45 with Hey Jude on one side and Revolution on the other side. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? The guitar with how Revolution starts, I was like, oh, okay. There's a lot more for me to explore, isn't there? Which I did, as you heard earlier. Classical and rock and jazz and country, and anyway, so that was like, okay, my mind was blown. There's so much more music out there that I don't know about. And then there was one time we had some acreage in Acme, and there was this kind of rocky area in between a cow field and the woods. And I was back there singing. I was singing Let Me Be There. And my cousins, we bought a few acres from my mom's sister's family's farm. And so there were 5 cousins there. There are 6 in my family, so that's 11 kids on the farm. So one of my cousins that's a few years older than me caught me out there singing. And from then on, he started calling me Olivia Newton Voss. But he was still supportive. Like it wasn't just teasing me. He was like, oh, maybe you can sing. I was like, what? And then, just realizing that people were in bands and could do that. Maybe I could do that too. And I just decided like, oh, yep, this is what I'm going to do. And I
Absolutely.
haven't really looked back except for that time when I was hunkered down in motherhood with the little
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah.
And that was just a break, really. But yeah, if I'm on stage, I don't know, the band is cooking and everybody's
Yes.
yelling and the
Yeah.
audience is into it. It's just
Yeah.
like
Yes.
a
Yeah,
girl
exactly.
to be, So those
Yeah,
are the moments.
absolutely.
Yeah,
We
just
do
love
have
it.
another comment here, but this one's from Patrick. He's from Dublin Abbey. That's the name of the band, and they do a lot of Irish tunes, and they put out an awful lot of new music all the time, and it's really interesting. I'm loving it. But anyway, he has a question for us. He said, "Are you finding that booking your performances into places has been more difficult in the wake of the pandemic?"
Well, kind of. I mean, I used to have, I'm in West Seattle, and there was a venue called Parliament Tavern, which was great, like music almost every night, and musicians' music, like a small hole in the wall, but great musicians playing almost every night. And I had a standing gig there, like first Wednesday of every month. It was either me or one of my bands. And they closed, they didn't reopen after the pandemic. So that's a huge hit for my gigging, especially since there aren't very many venues in West Seattle. And then the bridge was closed, until very
Yeah, I
recently.
remember that.
So just going anywhere for any gig was tricky.
Difficult, yeah.
However, I have gotten, for whatever reason, maybe I'm playing more these days with Dave Harmonson and some of his projects. And so, he
Yeah.
can get gigs.
Yeah.
So through him, I've been able to get some more stuff at Connor Byrne, which has been nice. I put on a Hank Williams tribute show, a birthday show for Hank Williams there in September last year, which I have another one next year. Will be his 100th, would have been his 100th birthday. So we will be celebrating 100 years of Hank Williams at the Tractor in September.
Oh, cool.
Um,
What's
so,
the band name that's going to be out there? I want to watch for it.
well, early stages, I'm just starting to produce it and put it together.
Okay.
So I'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
But it's just exciting for me because Hank is my heartthrob. So anyway, I am able to sort of, yes, Country Dave does work
24/7.
So yeah, some doors have been closed as far as venues go and booking, but others have been open, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
I haven't noticed
I am
any
looking
new
for
ones.
different places to play.
I haven't
What was that?
noticed
Sorry.
any new ones, but what I have noticed is that wineries and breweries are springing up everywhere, and they're welcoming musicians. But they're mostly over here in wine country in Woodinville and Snohomish and this whole area, Redmond. Not Redmond's got a new one, but I don't know if they have music. And so with these springing up, especially in Monroe too, around here they picked up. But like you said in West Seattle, I don't know much about that because I'm not there.
There used to be some music at Whiskey West, but they're not doing that anymore. The Skylark is a great venue here, but that's just one.
Just, I hope that answers it, Patrick. I hope that that answers your question. I think
Donald, I see that you're a videographer. So yeah, anytime you want to come out and video, I'd love that.
Well, I think he's in Georgia right now. Might be a long drive.
Well, if I'm in Georgia,
if she's touring
in Virginia, maybe I'll go out there, and that's close enough.
Well, he's been promising to come back, so we'll see. Okay, so singing. You're a songwriter. What kind of music do you write? Is it country, or is it a combination of all these things that you've studied and played?
It's a combo. For Mannequin Barbecue, I would say I've written a lot of the music for that band. Well, I mean, there's just three of us, so maybe a third. Everybody's a writer in that band. But it's definitely quirky, poppy, a little weird. And I love words. So I guess maybe that's how it gets a little weird, is the word play. And I have written country songs. I probably have written maybe 20 country songs or so. I haven't done a lot with them, but it's in my mind. I would like to record
Yes.
some of those this year. And there's also some other local artists around here who are just great songwriters. And
Yeah.
if they are into it, I'd like to maybe record some of their songs as well, just to start getting that stuff out there.
Absolutely. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to try to make it 20-year gigs, so I'm going to keep looking on mature musicians.
All
to
right.
find you. And I'm also
I
going
got
to come out to the Little Red Hen. I mean, that is the country spot of all,
Yes,
That's
for sure.
yeah.
Yes.
So I guess we're getting kind of to the end. We have 5 minutes. Is there anything that you would like to promote specifically in these last few minutes, Cami?
I've
Other than the
slowed
tractor
down a little
roses.
bit. I had a lot of gigs in October and November, and I don't have much in December. Had a super fun show last night. I'll just give BB Jones a little plug. That's a friend of mine that put out an EP. She just released it it came out on Friday, and she recorded everything herself. But the EP release show was at Easy Street Records on Saturday night. And so she had 3 girls come in and back her up, since you can't, be 4 people at once live. So I was lucky enough to get to play with her on that. So I would just like to encourage you to check out BB Jones' new album.
Okay, BB Jones. Okay.
BB Jones, yeah.
She's not local, though. She's touring all over the United States, or
Nope. She's a school teacher and a musician, and she's one of the members of Mannequin Barbecue as well. So this is her solo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I can get that whole Mannequin Barbecue people in here.
Oh, that'd be super fun. Yeah.
Well, we'll set it up.
Yeah. We do have we interviewed with a puppet once. We were on In the Attic with Piper. I can
have 10 people on here, and if each one has a phone or a computer, we can get them all on here.
Oh, yeah.
And so we'll set it up for next 2023.
Yeah. Another fun thing that Mannequin Barbecue did a couple of years ago, I guess just before the pandemic, in May. Yeah, it was around Mother's Day, is we went and appeared on the Gong Show in LA. That was a hoot.
Did you actually go down there?
Yeah.
Do it? Oh my gosh,
yeah,
fun.
Yeah, super fun. So anyway, as far as shows coming up, the Loose Heels are playing at the Shanty Tavern on Lake City Way on January 27th. And I don't have a whole lot else on the books right now. But I'll keep you posted on mature musicians.
The New Year's, you should, most bands play on New Year's. That's a pretty good
thing. Yeah. Our guitar player is booked with another band that night, which they're great, actually.
Sure.
In fact, I think they're playing at the North City Bistro, and it's the New Rhythmatics, and Dan Taylor is the guitar player in that band, and Lenita's the singer. She's fabulous.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking at all that, and hopefully share it so that my followers can see it as well.
Yeah.
So, one last question, I guess. Well, we got 7 minutes, so I get to ask you a few more.
Okay.
Can you tell us something about yourself that we don't know? That's a tricky one.
Well, I have kids,
and a husband.
And a husband, yes. I love gardening.
Oh, there's
in the summertime, it's hard to come into the house at all. I just like to be out there trimming, planting, digging, moving things.
So that's probably how you keep your figure.
Maybe, I don't know. I have a dog named Sugar. I walk my dog.
Yeah. What kind of dog?
She's a puggle. She's pug and beagle, and she's black with a curly pigtail and underwear.
Okay. So what are you planning on doing for the holidays?
We've got my husband's parents live in Newcastle, and his brother and family live in Redmond. So we usually get together with them a little bit. And my family's spread out these days. I think I mentioned I have 5 brothers and sisters. So there's one in Florida, one in Virginia, one in Utah. My parents are in Whatcom County, not in Acme still, but pretty near there, up kind of by Canada. And I have a sister in Puyallup and sister-in-law in Bothell. So we usually try to get together, but it's not usually the whole group. But family stuff, yeah.
Yeah, fun. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that kind of sums it up. We're a little early here.
Thanks a lot for inviting me to chat with you today.
You're welcome. I usually ask this question at the end, but what I hope to give to you is, you've been on this journey a long time, since you're 10 years old. And along the way, I'm sure that you've gathered a lot of information. So if you were talking, and you are talking to aspiring songwriters and musicians, etc., what advice would you, somebody just said happy holiday, folks, happy holiday to all of you. What advice would you give young people coming up and going through their journey in music? And yours has been particularly challenging, because I know that going to colleges to learn all that theory and everything that you had to do to accomplish what you are doing now, that's a real feat. So what out of all of that would you like to pass on to our listeners today?
I think just sticking with it. There's obviously in everything peaks and valleys, and the times where you're not feeling particularly inspired. For me, those are the times that I practice. I just okay, well, I don't feel like writing anything. I don't know. I don't have a gig right now that I'm crazy excited about. So I'm going to practice this, practice that. I might even just practice writing a song that doesn't have to be good. It's just practice, just to keep the motor skills going, practice guitar or practice.
When you were in school, did they give you any lessons or courses on songwriting and the different ways you could put a song together in different genres?
I took a composition class, but I would say that's different than songwriting.
Yeah.
It was more for it could be whatever you want to write it for, but it was not necessarily pop songwriting. I feel like all of that I've kind of just done. I read a book about writing lyrics, which was helpful. Yeah,
I'm reaching some roadblocks in trying to get the musical part of it, and I'm kind of like country is got chorus, verse, chorus, maybe a bridge, and nothing fancy like rock or pop. And I realized that I didn't go to school for the right things. I should have gone into writing. I never even thought of that until COVID. So yeah, I'm missing some parts. I still don't. Today, if you look at the music that these young country singers, I shouldn't say young, but the newer country singers on the scene are writing, it's not like the older music. It's not chorus, verse, chorus, bridge, whatever. It's god awful. I mean, it's just, they just sing, but whatever they write down, they just sing. It doesn't have to rhyme. It has to have consistency and some kind of a rhythm to it. But I'm like that thinking, wow, am I just that old, or is that incompetent? I don't know. It's a whole new ball game. And I thought maybe that they would have put that into your lessons when you were in college as far as songwriting. So obviously.
Yeah, just probably because I was on the classical track, that wasn't really part of it. It might have been in the jazz department, which is a lot different.
So do you have any problems when you start to write today and you're writing your music? Do you have any issues with that, or is it all just flow for you, or you have tricks of the trade?
I mean, I feel like it's songwriting for me is not necessarily flowy. I mean, once in a while, a song just kind of presents itself, but mostly I'm thinking about words and structure and messing around, and I
Yes,
write
yes.
it and then I don't do anything with it for a while, and then I come back and I look at it and I make some changes. And so, yeah, it takes a while before it's done because I just keep editing, you know. Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to know if I'm ever done with a song.
Well, we reached the time. It's actually it's 1 o'clock here, and I think we're even a little over. No, it's exactly 1 o'clock. So do want to thank you, Cami. If you want to see Cami, she will be putting her things on Matured Musicians, and you can go out on Sunday night. I forget what time it starts, Cami, 7?
The Little Red Hen open mic now it says it's 7 to 10. It usually gets started maybe more like 7:30 or something like that. And sometimes goes later than 10. It just depends on the night. Every
Cool.
single night there is so different from every
Yeah.
other night. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never know.
So you can see her there. And in the meantime, have your happy holidays,
Happy
you and
holidays
your
to you.
family. Thank you. And everyone out there. And in the meantime, do stay tuned. We do have another just musician. I want to tell you, Cami's one of the first for this month. She's my very first female for the month. All month long, I intend to get just female interviewees.
Very nice.
So it's just a salute to all of you, like Tammy, who's out there doing what she's doing. All right. Thank you
Thank you
again.
so much.
Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now I got to get this off. All right. Bye. Okay, everybody. Thank you for watching. Appreciate having you here with us today. I do have another female guest coming next week. Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't remember who it is, but do watch my ads. I will be posting it by next week. I do have on my webpage, www.joyannelacherie.com, a tip jar. And I'm asking for contributions. If you feel like you enjoyed these interviews and you've had a good time or whatever, if you have anything to spare, it doesn't matter how much, please just stick it in there. And I promise you, it will go to paying for new music for me. So with all of that, you have a good rest of your day, your good week, and we'll see you down the road. Bye, everybody.